Wow, where to begin? This is something we rarely talked about, even at the network. The episode, The Truth of Till, was experimental, to say the least. It was conceived during a period where the network was trying to push boundaries with children's programming, exploring more complex emotional themes.
And I remember the animation meetings clearly. We were told to create something that would test the emotional depth of the Tillie character. Instead of the usual bright, colorful style, we used darker tones, more dramatic lighting. The whole thing felt like a completely different show.
The music was completely different too. No upbeat, playful tunes. I composed something more like a dramatic film score. Minor keys, suspenseful strings, the works. It was unlike anything I'd ever done for children's television before.
And from a scheduling perspective, this was always meant to be a one-time thing. That's why it aired at 3 a.m. on a Friday night. We literally buried it in the schedule. The network was nervous about it even then. Can you tell us about the actual content of the episode? What happens in The Truth of Till?
In the episode, Tillie comes home to find her house empty. She discovers that her parents and cousin Billy, though some people insist it was her brother, there's still debate about that pronunciation, have been kidnapped. The rest of the episode follows her trying to save them from these mysterious kidnappers.
What made it so disturbing was how real it felt. We used more realistic animation for the kidnappers, shadowy figures with no faces, just these dark silhouettes. The whole thing had this nightmare quality that was completely unlike the normal Tillie episodes.
And the sound design. We use these low, rumbling sounds, heavy breathing, muffled cries. It was designed to be genuinely unsettling. I remember thinking, are we really making this for a preschool audience?
Now, there's been some fan analysis about this episode online. Can you address some of those theories? Absolutely. What's fascinating is how the fandom has connected this episode to the normal Tillie format. In regular episodes, friends knock on Tillie's door, and she guesses who they are. The theory is that this routine is what keeps the tragic events from happening. That by having friends visit regularly, she avoids being alone when the kidnappers might come. And that makes the normal ending quote, "Come by again, you'll never know who will visit next time," absolutely terrifying in this context. Instead of being a friendly invitation, it becomes this reminder of the dangerous strangers who took her family.
That's exactly why the network panicked. When they realized how dark the implications were, they pulled it immediately. It only aired that one time at 3 a.m. on a Friday night, so very few people managed to record it.
Yes, question from the audience.
Hi, I've read that some clips and audio surfaced online in 2022. Is that true? And do any of you have copies of the episode? Unfortunately, no. None of us kept copies. It was against network policy, and honestly, after the reaction, nobody wanted to hold on to it. But yes, in 2022, some fragments did start appearing online. Some audio clips, a few screenshots, maybe 30 seconds of animation here and there.
People in the lost media community have been trying to reconstruct it, but as far as I know, the last part of the episode has never been found. Neither has the full original episode. It's become this holy grail for lost media hunters. Yes, question from the audience.
What was the network's official response when this started gaining attention online?
I can speak to that. On April 22nd, 2024, BabyfirstTV actually released a rare official letter addressing the whole situation. They sent it to some child corporation that had been asking about it.
And what did the letter say?
They clarified that the episode wasn't some kind of broadcast hijack or pirate broadcast like some conspiracy theories suggested. It was an internal mistake, something that was never supposed to air at all. They called it a production error that somehow made it to broadcast.
The letter also mentioned that they're now taking a much stricter stance on unauthorized content to protect their young audience and brand reputation, which honestly makes perfect sense when you consider how completely inappropriate that episode was for their target demographic.
Next question, please.
Have any of you ever considered recreating the episode or telling the full story of what happened?
We've talked about it, but honestly, it's complicated. On one hand, there's incredible fan interest. On the other hand, we signed NDAs, and the network still owns all the rights. Plus, do we really want to traumatize a whole new generation of kids?
I think what's amazing is how this single 10-minute episode, aired once at 3 a.m. on a Friday night, has become such a significant piece of animation lore. It's fascinating how lost media works.
One more question. What do you think actually happened to make the episode air if it was never supposed to? Looking back, I think it was just a scheduling error. Someone probably loaded the wrong episode file, and since it was 3 a.m. on a Friday night, nobody was really monitoring closely. By the time anyone realized what had happened, it was already over.
And honestly, in those days, our quality control wasn't what it is now. Things slipped through the cracks occasionally. This just happened to be the most dramatic slip-up imaginable.